I came back home and I was like, I'm exhausted. And I went back to where I'm from and I saw some of my friends and I was just like me and the girls, like the group of friends from high school. And I'm like sitting around one of the dinner tables, like about to eat. And my phone like lit up and somebody just sent me a story like, oh my OMG. And I was like, something weird's happening. And I put the fork down and opened my phone and it was Anna Wintour's face saying my name. And I was,
Oh my God.
What does a typical day look like in the life of Patrick McDowell?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew what a typical day looks like. Honestly, at the moment, it's every day is completely different.
No, that's
And
good though. We love variety.
I could kind of
yeah,
expect
it
that was
is.
going to be the
It's
answer.
so good. Like I mean, for me, that works better because I never wanted to be like this solitary person that sits in a studio, like creating like more and more clothes like all the time. Like it was never my aim, and I just don't find it interesting. Like a fashion business that's based on growing volume of pieces is I mean, unless I know exactly who those pieces are going to and have like a relationship with each client, I'm just not interested in creating like 10,000 of one dress. Like it's like a maths class to me. I'm like bored. So I don't want to do that. And like consequently, I've created this thing where I do like all these different things every day and it's amazing. Like I'm super grateful to be able to do it. And I get to go I mean, I don't mean to gloat, but also it's important
Gloat
to say
away,
this
please.
because
This is a gloat welcome zone.
what I've realized is also important is that it's really important for anybody who's listening to this who was me as like the working class queer kid who wasn't so sure about where they were going but knew they were doing something differently to the people around them. To those people listening, like you can do it, right? Like you too can create a life for yourself which is outside of these like quite constricting norms that are unfortunately like put onto working class people because of the society we live in, and you can get out of that. Although I mean it's hard, but you can.
Guess you spoke a little bit about the influence of your Liverpudlian heart coming into your work and your sustainability practices, but where does your inspiration come from for your brand?
So it's always like really personal stories. I realized when I was at Burberry actually that all of my other friends from St. Martin's that were interning at all these other fashion brands were all we were all finding the same images because it's really normal to be asked for like 1,000 research images within like a 3-hour period. So I always joke about like the drag and drop, like if you're on a mat.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because literally would be like this, like on the keypad, like no one can see me doing it, but I'm like waving my hand in front of the camera. And that would be it. We'd be like crazy, like doing this, like having these files with hundreds of images because everything's so quick. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like everyone's just going to end up designing the same kind of stuff if we're all looking at the same images from the same websites with the same algorithms, because obviously like certain websites use algorithms to show you things that look like the other thing. And then at that point I was like, well, this is just stupid. So I'm just going to do all of my research from images that are mine and my family's. So all the collections have always been based on like family stories or like family pictures, which is really nice actually, because you get to learn so much about your family and it changes your relationship with people as well. And it's a lot of the time I always call it like queering, but I don't think that's actually a word in the English dictionary, but
I think it should be.
I think we need to
and
get
I
it
think we need
quickly.
to call the dictionary tomorrow and be like, hey, we've got a new word for you.
Yeah, because it's like looking at things that are traditionally masculine or heteronormative and then thinking how can we make those a safe space for the queer community. And that especially was kind of my last collection that was Catholic fairy tales, growing up in a very like Catholic area and school and going to church and being an altar boy and being in the choir at church, like all of those things. And as a gay person, that's not great. So So it was really important for me to do that collection based on that. And you know, people forget the emotional power of clothing, how amazing it can be, and it speaks, you know, like I was actually terrified when I put that first collection out, which initially came out as a digital only collection. It was not just a digital presentation, but the clothes were made inside a computer. It was like fully digitized, almost like a video game show. I was terrified that people would kind of like come for me, and you have to remember this is like before
Really?
the, yeah, because it's
Do you
before
want
like
people from like the religious community or?
yeah, anything. You just don't know, right? And this is before
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Lil Nas, and it was before like lots of things that have happened. I think it was also before like BLM, and I think just like the narrative now around like people telling their stories has changed. But this was in like I think it was like April 2020 or something. Anyway, so but it was in the end it was great, and people kept talking to me and being like, I feel like this too, or my brother felt like this, or my sister, and we're so happy that you did this. I feel like this is something I can relate to, blah blah blah. And it just kept coming, and in the end became, you know, I was like sobbing into my phone reading all these
Oh.
messages. But
It
it's
is
so
amazing
nice.
though, the reach that you can have, and I think we've all seen that through the pandemic, you know, how far things can go just on the internet and like having that authenticity. And
Yeah.
obviously, like you were saying, people have had to rethink about how they do everything now because it all has to be digital and it still has to have that same impact.
I mean, I think like if you have no limitations of the physical world, why implement them onto yourself in the digital world?
I think it's lovely how so many people came to resonate with the emotional connection of the pieces in the collection, because I think a lot of that is lost in real, I don't want to say fast fashion because it's not comparable to that, but I mean like with it such a consumerism industry and fashion just being, a lot of people just look at it for that, but it's so nice that that emotion was able to be translated even through digital, which sometimes you would almost find more difficult for that to happen when it's not in real life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It was fascinating. Like I didn't expect it either, but I think actually that's probably my most viewed work ever.
It's more
So
accessible as well. It
Nice.
makes it even more accessible to
Yeah.
everybody, doesn't it?
yeah, that was the crazy thing. Like because of the amount of like digital stuff that goes on as the designer, your work is all done very early. So that was also something new to get used to. Whereas I'm used to being able to. I never do work right up until like the show starts, but you can if you want. And with digital, it all has to be ready months before because they need to like work on it to digitize it and animate it and put it on the models, blah blah blah. So when the show came, it was kind of like this thing that I'd been like dipping in and out of, like, you know, like agreeing and confirming things throughout, obviously. But then the show time happened and I just like sat down here, watched it on my laptop, and then like closed the laptop and went for a run.
Yeah.
Because at the time, because at the time you were still not allowed to see anyone, you couldn't go out, like
Yeah.
unless it was that when you could go out once, like once a day.
Mm.
And I mean, I think we've all forgotten what that. I mean, it was horrendous. Yeah, I mean, people forget a lot of the fashion industry is based on like human hands, and it's as yet something that machines haven't been able to master. So
Watch this space for a Patrick McDowell robot sewer. I feel like that's going to be your next thing.
maybe it'll look like me, like clothes.
Yeah.
Imagine. Gosh.
You don't need
I'm
that.
excited.
You don't need
Come
that.
back and speak to us again when
Yes.
it's done. I think we do. I think the world needs more of that energy.
You'll open Zoom and there'll be like hundreds of us.
Imagine the next time we speak to you.
He's cloning.
So you were nominated by Anna Wintour at Vogue for the Stella McCartney Today for Tomorrow award in November 2019. How did it feel to be recognised by the industry in that way?
I mean, obviously it was an incredible like honor and surprise.
Yeah.
And
Really? Were you surprised?
yeah, because nobody told me, so I didn't know it was happening. No, I got sent. So hilariously, it had been quite a busy time, and you've got to remember this was like before COVID, so like all this stuff had happened. It was kind of like I did my first show in a sustainable fashion week in Helsinki, and then I was showing it as part of an exhibition at London Fashion Week, and then I did I did another thing with the British ambassador in Venice, and then I did this event in London at the Royal Albert Hall, and then I did another fashion show in Budapest, and then I came back home and I was like, I'm exhausted, and I went back to where I'm from and I saw some of my friends, and I was just like me and the girls, like the group of friends from high school, and I'm like sitting around one of their dinner tables, like about to eat, and my phone like lit up and somebody just sent me a story like, oh my OMG. And I was like, someone just sending me some like rubbish. But then it kept dinging with like other like ding, 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 ding. Because before, this is when I used to actually have notifications turned on for Instagram. I was like, something weird's happening. And so I put the fork down and opened my phone, and it was Anna Wintour's face saying my name.
What the hell? I can't believe that was how you
I'd
first found
out
out about it. Yeah, literally, I'd be gone off that chair, under the table.
It was crazy. And I started to like, but of course, the most grounding thing is that Anna Wintour, to my friends from high school, they don't know who she is.
Like, guys, no, getting it up on Google. Look who she is.
Yeah. So
oh my God.
It's also interesting watching how people change how they speak to you and things like that happen. And just remembering all of that, like trying to keep a level head. But obviously it was amazing. And I was like very grateful to Sarah Mower, who had originally introduced me to Anna. And yeah, just like one of those really nice things that happen sometimes. And it's so, that's one of the reasons why I've done well since the beginning is because I made a graduate collection with waste material from Burberry and Swarovski. And of course, those big names, when you're someone very new, has a great mix because you're the fresh new thing, and those names they give you the validation that you don't have otherwise, and that's exactly what Anna did. It validated me as someone people didn't know, and you're less of a risk then, right? Because you've been given the seal of approval.
Yeah.
People forget that the circular economy is financially lucrative for a business. If your business is linear and has things that come in at the beginning and leave at the end, if you can scoop all that end back up and put it back in at the beginning, you've like captured a load of revenue that you would have lost. Basically, the elephant in the room in fashion is that we guess what people want and produce it and then sell it instead of just making what people actually want to buy. So consequently, we will always have waste because we're not actually asking people what they want first, right? So if we switch to that kind of model, we could avoid lots of these issues, but that would take something like a global pandemic to make everyone stop and rethink. But I don't think we had one of them recently. So it couldn't happen. Things are getting really serious now. Like if you look around the world, things are not great in lots of places. And the reality is like, will you want to be wearing your new like fast fashion outfit when your house is flooded? Or will you want to be wearing your new boohoo outfit when your like work makes you redundant because they've had to close down because of the climate crisis? Like all these things are linked, right? They're not separate things. And I think it's really important that we are educating people for the future to think about how we can make something new. And I think it's also interesting when you speak to students now, they're more interested in starting like these smaller things that are more like they know their clients. It's really interesting. And again, my great privilege speaking to students because it's a different mindset that they have, and it's kind of contradictory somehow because I know that younger generations at the moment are both the most interested in sustainability but also like one of the biggest customers of fast fashion brands. So I'm like, what's going on there? Like how is these two things are they the same people, or are they like like what's happening?
Do you think it's a price thing there?
I mean, it's also it's one of the reasons why I'm very keen to never shoot down fast fashion or like boycott whatever, because I know coming from where I'm from that for some people that outfit from that website is their only escape for that month or that week, and for that time that they put that on, they feel like they're themselves. Finally, they can just be them, right? They can be fab and they can go out and they can have the drinks and go and dance and feel great. And that's a sustainability story too. I think we need to look at why we've created a society where people are in a position where that's their only escape, instead of just blaming, as we often do, the poorest people in society, we need to actually address the fact that who was it that created a society that created conditions to make people live like that? And of course, that's not poor people, that's the people that are the richest.
People at the top, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I could literally talk to you for hours and hours and hours. This conversation has been absolutely incredible. We have 2 final questions for you, and they are the questions that we always ask our guests on the sample cupboard. And the first one is, what's in your brackets Pinko Mini bag? What items do you never leave the house without? And it had to be a Pinko Mini, because
why would it
if you don't have one, then who are you?
Should I go and get my bag?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, show us.
Show
Oh my gosh, a live and exclusive showing of the bag. This is a first for the sample cupboard too.
This is really exciting. Me and Johnny are over the moon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't tell.
Is it a Patrick McDowell exclusive?
No, it's from Prada.
Oh my god.
Imagine it was the school bag.
We'll let it off.
You could have made this full 360.
It's a Prada. I mean, you know, we'll accept it.
Okay, so I usually have in my bag my wallet that looks like it's so I always have like a little tiny handbag, but I
love, yeah, good.
So the reason why I bought this is because it's the same logo that's on the opening scene where Miranda gets out of the cab on Devil Wears Prada, and all you see is the Prada bag with the book, and it's the same logo. So I got the bag because of that.
I feel like I need that bag to go with my outfit today.
Yeah,
it would. Yeah.
That would go. I have this very straight man wallet, which I don't actually like, but it was a gift, so I'm still using it.
You've got a lot in there as well.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, well, it has this
handy.
like quite useful hook. And when you're in a business, actually, you have to keep your receipts, right, for like expenses and stuff. So
always.
Okay, and then I always have a power bank in case my phone dies.
Life changing.
Yeah, that is something I need, and I still don't have.
Always, forever. Has anyone got a charger?
Yeah, I always have. So Dior released these recently, and they're now 96% natural. So I have Lip Glow, which is the first coat, and then I have Lip Maximizer, which is the second one, which is more like a gloss. And I think both of them are shade 6, which is berry.
Okay.
I'm like doing an advert. You think they don't?
I know this is not Sponhan, but if you want, we always say get in touch. Dior, you know where we are.
And then I always have my keys, obviously, and I always have one of the crystal Pinko face masks.
Oh,
wow,
stunning! Everyone on the tube is jealous. I'm jealous.
And then I think, and I always usually have some business cards.
You never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah, you got to stay on that grind.
And a pen, which it makes me feel very like an old lady, but it's useful. I think that's it. Usually that's it.
That's a good. That's a good bag.
Very good. Ticks all the boxes.
Yeah. I try not to have too much stuff. Oh, and the headphones usually. But for me, actually, this bag is quite big. Like usually, I feel like this is quite large, but I prefer a slightly smaller one. And then obviously I have my phone as well. But I think we tend to carry them now, right, rather than put them in.
Yeah.
Never in the bag, always in the hand.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, final question: what is one item in your wardrobe that makes you feel amazing? And I would love to know what your wardrobe's like. I imagine it to be an absolute treasure chest of amazing pieces.
One piece.
We'll allow
We can
a
go
few
for
if you need to.
a couple of contingencies in there.
Okay,
Your desert island wardrobe.
Oh yeah.
I've always wanted to be on desert island discs. That's one of my dream things to do.
I don't know anybody there. I can't give you a reference. You just have to make do with this for now. Apologies.
I'll survive. Not on the island yet, don't worry.
No.
Okay, so I think one of the things would be my Valentino Daisy boots, which are like these cowboy boots with leather daisies on. I got them when I was in New York. Barney's was closing down, and I was looking around the last week of the closing down sale, and in the corner of the women's shoe department I saw this one boot covered in dust, and I thought, wow, I love this boot, it's amazing. And I checked the price, and it was already on sale before they went into like foreclosure, so it was like crazy discounted. So I got the boots. Everyone loves the boots. Always get compliments on the boots. And then I wore them too much. Like, this was pre-COVID. I would go out in them. I would go everywhere in them. I would like, everywhere. And they got trashed. And then I found the Restory, which is this amazing like platform that restores designer. Well, they restore anything. Like, and now they do clothes as well. But they started with accessories, and I sent them to them, and they very lovingly restored the entire boot to look like completely brand new.
Amazing.
And now I wear them again, love them again, and get loads of compliments on them, and they make me feel great because I'm not so tall, so they give me a little lift. And
always need the hype.
I mean, usually if I wear pieces from my own personal collections as well, that always feels really nice. Though it's sometimes a bit impractical because you have to like drag all the fabric around. There's another jacket that I had that's a vintage suit that I just wasn't wearing, and I just one day was like, crop suit jacket, and I just pinned it really high and took it to the dry cleaner, and I was like, I need it this short, and he was like, this is so short, and I was like, yeah. And now I love it. It's so short. I'm like, it's like a little bolero. I think it's fab.
Yeah.
And like, things like that where you've like, you knew it had a life before, and then you've changed it into something else. I just think it's so special because then it's like so personal,
It's been such a pleasure chatting to you. I honestly could talk to you all night. Thank you so much, Patrick, for talking to us today.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting to you.